very warm welcome to you wherever you are watching us from. This is an English edition of Dalsan TV English News, and thank you so much for tuning in to Dalsan TV English News, Somalia's #1 news station. Now let's have a look at some of the stories that are making headlines here in Somalia. Mogadishu mayor pays visit to grieving family as police launch manhunt for husband who murdered pregnant wife. Somalia ranked among world's most corrupt countries. African Union completes second phase of troop drawdown in Somalia after delay. UN court to hear part of Russia-Ukraine genocide case. Welcome back. Now, Mogadishu Mayor Yusuf Hussein Jim'ale Madale, accompanied by senior security officials, including the police chief, have paid a visit to the house of the woman who was pregnant and murdered by her husband. The mayor has expressed his condolences to the grieving family as the Somali police have initiated a manhunt to apprehend the suspect responsible for the heinous crime. Mogadishu mayor, accompanied by senior security officials, visited the house where the pregnant woman with 5 children was killed. The mayor expressed his condolences to the grieving family as the Somali police have initiated a manhunt to apprehend the suspect responsible for the heinous crime. Authorities issued a warrant of arrest on Sayyid Ali Muallim Daoud, wanted for the killing of his wife, located in the Kenley district. A statement from the Somali police said that the suspect remains at large since committing the heinous act and called on the members of the public to volunteer information on the whereabouts of the suspect. Sayyid Ali Muallim Daoud had last week set his expectant wife Lul Abdelaziz on fire in front of her children inside their house. She survived by 6 orphaned children whose father passed away in 2021. Meanwhile, family of the deceased have continued to demand justice for their daughter, vowing not to bury her until justice is rendered to them. On the second day, the lifeless body of Ms. Abdelaziz continues to lie at a city mortuary. Cases of gender-based violence meted against women have recently been on the rise in Somalia.
cidii fakisay kii gaariga ku qaaday kan meesha uu joogo ku hay inta waa la soo qabanaa sharciga waa la horgeynaa hatta kaliis lama soo qabanayo markuu imaanaya gaariga wato gaariga ku baxay xamar gaariga uga tagay kuwa hadda haaya oo meesha uu joogo ku hayana waa lagu soo qabanaa
yar haba yaraatay hatta ay jiraan noocaas oo kale hatta inay meel ku qarsadaan wax aqliga siisan kara maaha ala kulli xaal hadii qalbiga dhinto naxariistu waa tagtaa la yiri hadii aqliga dhintana xigmadda tagtaa la yiri hadii damiirku dhintana wax kasto kullu shay waa dhimanayna la yiri xakaay sidaas ayaa jirto marka cid kasto damiir leh inay maanta gabar Soomaaliyeed oo maaragtay xaaskiisa ah oo dadka ka doorata asna uu ka doortay inuu bazin inta ku bilbil dab ku qabto aqli bini aadam caafimaad qaba sheegi maayo waliba waxaan leenahay kuwa dhaqan xumada bariyahan iyo gacmaha gardaran ee dadka sida qaldan u dilaayo waxaan leenahay ka joogsado ka waantooba ayaan leenahay gabdhaha nimankooda dilaayo nimanka naagooda dilaayo.
In its latest report released on Tuesday, Global Corruption International revealed that Somalia and South Sudan, both plagued by protracted crises and armed conflicts, have been ranked the world's most corrupt countries.
In its latest report released on Tuesday, global corruption watchdog Transparency International revealed that Somalia and South Sudan, both plagued by protracted crises and armed conflicts, have been ranked among the world's most corrupt countries. The Corruption Perception Index 2023 assigned Somalia a score of 11 out of 100, while South Sudan scored 13, indicating no signs of improvement in their corruption levels. Equatorial Guinea and Libya also fared poorly, with scores of 17 and 18 respectively on the index. Transparency International evaluates perceptions of corruption in the public sector across 180 countries, using a scale ranging from 0, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean. The report highlighted the persistent poor performance of most African countries, with an unchanged regional average score of 33, indicating stagnation. Approximately 90% of sub-Saharan African countries scored below 50 on the index. Transparency International called upon governments in the region to grant independence, resources, and transparency to justice systems in order to effectively combat corruption. Among sub-Saharan African countries, the Seychelles was ranked the least corrupt with a score of 71, followed by Cape Verde 64, Botswana 59, and Rwanda 53. The watchdog organization commended Ivory Coast for its consistent improvement on the index over the past decade, attributing it to President Alassane Ouattara's successful implementation of various reforms aimed at strengthening accountability mechanisms. The Corruption Perceptions Index for 2023 exposed the thriving nature of corruption worldwide. The global average score remains stagnant at 43, with the majority of countries making no progress or experiencing a decline in the fight against corruption over the past decade.
African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, ATMIS, announced on Friday that it has officially successfully completed the second phase of its troops drawdown.
The African Union's peacekeeping force in Somalia, known as the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, or ATMIS, announced on Friday that it has successfully completed the second phase of its troop drawdown, which involved the reduction of 3,000 soldiers. This milestone comes after a 4-month delay due to the request made by the Mogadishu government for a 3-month technical pause in the drawdown, citing recent setbacks against the militant group Al-Shabaab. In a statement released by ATMIS, the force confirmed the completion of Phase 2, during which 7 forward operating bases were handed over to the internationally backed government, while 2 others were shut down. Lieutenant General Sam Okading, commander of ATMIS, stated that preparations for the next phase, Phase 3, which aims to reduce troop numbers by an additional 4,000 soldiers, will commence shortly and are scheduled to be completed by June. The first 2 phases of the troop withdrawal have already resulted in a reduction of 5,000 soldiers. Currently, approximately 14,000 troops from Burundi, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda remain deployed in Somalia. According to a United Nations calendar, ATMIS is expected to fully withdraw from the Horn of Africa nation by the end of the year, transitioning security responsibilities to Somali security forces. Lieutenant General Sam Okading reiterated ATMIS's commitment to the drawdown process and emphasized the force's dedication to supporting the Somali government's efforts to achieve stability and security in the country. ATMIS, which took over from its predecessor AMISOM in April 2022, was assigned a more offensive role to bolster the Somali government's fight against Al-Shabaab, a group that has posed a significant security threat in the region since its inception in 2007. As ATMIS progresses with its phased troop reduction, it remains crucial for the international community to continue supporting Somalia in its pursuit of lasting peace and stability. The successful completion of the withdrawal process and the subsequent handover to Somali security forces will mark an important milestone in the country's journey towards self-reliance and the establishment of a secure and prosperous future.
The United Nations International Court of Justice (ICJ) said Friday it will hear the case in which Ukraine has asked the court to declare it did not commit genocide in eastern parts of the country, a claim Russia made as a pretext for its invasion.
It follows from the foregoing.
The International Court of Justice on Friday ruled it will hear part of a case brought by Ukraine. Kiev has asked the UN's highest court to declare it did not commit genocide in eastern Ukraine, which Russia claimed as a pretext for going to war with its neighbour. Ukraine brought the case to the court, also known as the World Court, days after Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. On Friday, judges found the court had jurisdiction to hear a small part of the case, on whether or not Ukraine committed genocide in Donetsk and Luhansk, which are now occupied by Russia. The judges threw out a request by Ukraine to rule on whether the Russian invasion violated the 1948 Genocide Convention,
And that the court may not deal with them on the merits.
Last September, lawyers for Moscow urged judges to throw out the entire case, saying Kiev's legal arguments were flawed and the court had no jurisdiction. On Friday, the judges granted some of those objections. It could take many months to hear the case on the merits. The court issued an emergency order in March 2022, ordering Russia to immediately halt its military operations in Ukraine. While the court's rulings are final and legally binding, it has no way to enforce them, and some states, like Russia, have ignored them. Ukraine won a small victory at the court on Wednesday, when judges ruled Russia had violated UN treaties against the financing of terrorism and discrimination. That was a different case, dealing with incidents from 2014.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Somalia's #1 TV station. My name is Abdulrazak Ali. We wish you a lovely evening.